BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello, I'm Alasdair Lamont. This is the Scottish Football Podcast, kick-starting your week with the final word on an absolutely epic League Cup final.
It all comes down to Maida, right-footed, scores! Maida scores into the bottom left corner! And it is a 22nd League Cup for Celtic!
We'll discuss where the game was won and lost and assess what the result means for both sides' seasons going forward.
I think we've made a fantastic start to the season. This trophy we had to earn today, and the players have earned that. Now we can enjoy it and then get some good training in and work well for next weekend.
The fans, in all the disappointment of not getting this trophy, still applauded the players because they see what they are giving for the club, and that's what they need to continue doing, and then good times will come back.
The Scottish Football Podcast.
Now, to pick over the action, I'm joined by two League Cup winners in their own right. Aiden McGeady, who knows what it is to score a penalty in a League Cup win over Rangers. How are you this evening, Aiden? Good fettle, I imagine?
Very good, thanks. Yeah, nerves are a bit shattered after the events earlier on today, but yeah, in a good mood now.
Maybe less so Cammy Bell, who also won the League Cup with Killie, beating Celtic actually, Cammy, but not so positive for you today, I don't imagine.
No, not so positive today. Again, loads of positives from the performance, but certainly very deflating, the results. So, yeah, just try to get over that at the moment.
Yeah, well, it is the evening of Sunday, the 15th of December, as you may have gathered as we record. So my voice still recovering from the 120 minutes plus penalties. Just as the dust is settling after the match, lots to discuss with the guys, so let's just dive straight in. I mean, we have to start with a game like that. Just to recap, as if you don't know already, but Celtic eventually won 5-4 on penalties, with the game having finished 3 each. Rangers led 1-0 at half-time before Celtic fought back to lead twice. It looked like they'd won it when Nicholas Kuhn made it 3-2 in 87 minutes, only for Danilo to equalise just about a minute later to take the game to extra time. Well, Aiden, we'll start with the winners, shall we? But what did you make of the match? I mean, I personally thought the 90 minutes particularly was just exhilarating. What about you?
Depends who you support, I think. I mean, exhilarating from a neutral point of view. Look, I think the first half, Celtic were poor. Made no bones about that. I think Rangers played well defensively. I think they were quite comfortable not having the ball. Celtic were quite pedestrian, quite sluggish in their attack the first half. I think Rangers' game plan worked and it stifled Celtic. I don't think Celtic played quick enough. And that's kind of been a feature of Celtic's play the last couple of weeks, especially the game in Zagreb. 10-15 minute period after half time, I thought Celtic really grounded the game. Obviously scored the 2 goals. And then after that, again, kind of went back into the kind of mode of the first half. Rangers started to play a bit more. But it was pretty much end-to-end. But again, the theme for me was Celtic, overall won the game. And that's what winners do, and Celtic are used to doing that. But I think Rangers can take a lot of heart from that game. I did expect Celtic to win the game. Not so much in the manner that they did, but the way that they played the first half, like I said, has been a feature of the performances the last few weeks. And just defensively, I think the goals that Celtic gave away were very poor.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't Celtic at their best. As you say, Aiden, I was out in Zagreb for that game as well, and that struck me as a game they could have won had they been just that bit better. But Cammy, you have to give Rangers a lot of credit, because you cast your mind back to just, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't think anyone was giving Rangers an earthly in this game, or indeed the game against Spurs on Thursday. They've got 2 draws out of it, I suppose. Ultimately, trophyless at the end of today. But what did you make of them?
Yeah, listen, today is a sore one for Rangers and Rangers fans, just the way that it went. But again, as you say, cast your mind back to 3 weeks ago. There's a lot of negativity around this team, the manager, the club in general. So they've really turned the corner over them 3 weeks. And today's performance, I felt, was really good. It was positive. It was on the front foot. They made Celtic make a lot of mistakes. Yes, Celtic were sloppy, but Rangers forced them into mistakes as well, pressed them high up the pitch, won the ball, and were good with the ball as well and created a number of opportunities. But ultimately, as Aiden said, they came away with absolutely nothing at the end of it. It's a sore way to lose, always in penalties. Ridvan, it's disappointing for such a young player to miss a penalty in them circumstances.
A chance to become a hero And also equally the chance to become a villain. And Yilmaz will take for Rangers. It's 3-3. Here's Yilmaz. Saved! Schmeichel saves! Down low to his left, and Yilmaz heartbroken. It wasn't a great kick. And
But I think Rangers fans coming away from that, when they do reflect and this initial hurt goes away, then they'll be positive about what they've seen on the pitch. What did you make of, I know Ridvan obviously stepped up to hit a penalty, but what did you make of Dessers not hitting one? Dessers and Dow never put themselves forward to hit a penalty, and it was all on Ridvan. I know he's the only one that missed. For me, that was surprising. Like, I'm wanting my striker, who's my goal scorer, to be hitting a penalty and not putting the pressure on a left back. Yeah, a real surprise again. You think, we all know our strikers go up and step up and take penalties. They want to score goals. So I was really surprised that Dessers didn't put himself forward. I think he's got that about himself, that he's a confident lad. So it was a real surprise to me that he didn't step up and take it. And we all know Ridvan is a young player as well. So you're putting a huge amount of pressure on a young player. And I like to see my striker stepping up, certainly before your goalkeeper, that's for sure.
And it's Jack Button, oh my word. There we go.
Well, we remember Joe Hart took one in the penalty shootout against Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup semis last season, and he missed it. Redeemed himself with a save after that. But if Jack Butland doesn't score this, Celtic have won the League Cup. It is as plain and simple as that. The Rangers goalkeeper, Butland against Schmeichel, right-footed, scores. What a spot kick it was, under immense pressure.
Definitely. That was what I was thinking as well. I thought when Butland stepped up, I was like, normally goalkeepers do hit good penalties, but if he misses, you're like, oh, like goalkeepers can't miss, especially when the 5 penalty takers. But yeah, Ridvan was a strange one for me. But listen, he must be really good at penalties in training, but I thought, why is Dessers not hitting one? Did he not want one? Is he a little bit apprehensive about hitting one? Is his confidence not there? And then Ridvan's the one that misses the only penalty. So I felt a bit sorry for him, but ultimately not.
No, no, that's sorry.
Being not biased,
Aiden, in terms of sort of pivotal moments in the game and maybe key players, who would you pinpoint Celtic wise?
Look, for me, I don't think there was many outstanding performances in the Celtic team. I think collectively they done enough to go over the line, evidently, but I think Carter Vickers was very good today. I think talking about pivotal moments, it was that 4v1 when he's managed to. I don't know how Rangers never got a shot away or never scored a goal.
And it's given away, and Rangers have won it back through Czerny. It was Greg Taylor again. Here's Czerny coming forward. He's found Egeman. Support right, left. Huge chance for Rangers. This to the right he goes. Pulled back and blocked by Carter Vickers and behind for the corner. What an opportunity it was.
But the way that he showed, I think it was Egeman on his right foot. I think it was. But it was almost like Van Dijk defending, the way that I've seen Van Dijk do it in the past. 4v1, and he managed to block that shot or block that cross. That was a pivotal moment in the game for me, because if Rangers go there and score, which they should have done, they go 2-0 up. I didn't see Celtic actually getting back in, because at that point Rangers were probably in the ascendancy. They were, like Cammy says, they were on the front foot. Like they played well defensively today, Rangers. That was one thing that I noticed about the game, and maybe Clement's recognised that that's the way they have to play against Celtic. They have to be compact. They have to set traps, and Celtic did make a few mistakes that led to goals, but it was almost Rangers forcing them into those mistakes and then capitalising on them. Carter Vickers I thought was outstanding. Kuhn showed moments, of course. I mean, he's been a big player for Celtic this season. And you think he's won the game in the 87th minute.
Kuhn driving forward, options right and left. It's Kuhn, it's Engels, right hand side of the box, pulls it back, huge chance, and a huge goal for Celtic. Nicolas Kuhn side foots the ball home, and it looks like it might be late cup final heartache for Rangers against their bitter rivals again, and sheer joy for the green and white half of Hampden.
And then 2 minutes later, a minute later, it's going to extra time.
Czerny, benching in, goal, equaliser, Danilo. The ball came from the right. Schmeichel's furious, but Danilo, within a minute, has Rangers level again. What a game that is being served up here. They do not want to give up the trophy without a fight.
But there weren't many outstanding performances, I don't think, from Celtic. But look, it's one of those games that no one ever remembers the performances, really. You remember the scoreline, you remember who won the cup. And, Celtic with that mentality that they're used to winning, they're used to actually they're used to winning trophies. It's become a theme the last few years, and they know what to do to be the ones, lifting that trophy at the end of the game.
You saw Philippe Clement at the end of the game, Cammy, sort of getting the players round him, obviously having a few words with them. It struck me he was probably saying, look, yeah, but we come away with nothing here, but you've got to take a lot of belief from the fact that you went toe-to-toe with the runaway league leaders, the champions, a team who are, miles in front of you in many aspects, and you really gave them a game. Can they, do you believe, kick on from these two performances in the last few days?
We've got to kick on. This is the time to move on, move forward. It was a positive performance. It wasn't the outcome they wanted. They wanted to retain the trophy and lift that trophy again. It wasn't to be. But as you say, the manager will be rallying around the players saying, look, we do have good players in this team. We can play well as a team. We can force good sides into mistakes, which they did today with Celtic. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Celtic were at their maximum. But again, that's partly down to the way that Rangers kind of played. So they've got to take heart from what they played today and what they showed on the pitch. They created a number of opportunities against a very good Celtic team. Kasper Schmeichel had a number of good saves as well. So, yeah, listen, this is the time they've got to move forward. They've got to put a run of good performances and results together in the next few weeks.
Aiden, I'm interested in your perspective. Obviously, Celtic is your speciality, if you like, but nonetheless, Philippe Clement a few weeks ago looked like a dead man walking. I think most people assumed it was a matter of when, not if, that he and Rangers parted company. Do you think he's won over a section of his critics in the last, say, 2 or 3 weeks, particularly with maybe starting with the win out in Nice and then these two performances? Do you think he's bought himself a bit of time, a bit more credit in the bank?
Yeah, he's definitely bought himself a bit of time, but I think he needed to do that. If you're Rangers manager, you have to be winning games. You have to be competing with Celtic. Celtic are so far in front in the league just now that you're not going to say it's done. Of course, it's not yet, but you have to be still winning games, and you shouldn't be looking to catch Aberdeen. That's not what Rangers do. That's not Aberdeen are not the benchmark. He has bought himself a little bit of time, but look, I think a couple of results in Europe has galvanised the kind of supporters. And I mean, before the game, I was talking to some Rangers fans who were quite confident that, off the back of a couple of good performances. And look, I don't read into the Spurs game so much, because I think Spurs are in a bit of a bad place at the minute as well, and I don't think they played well. But the performances last few weeks, yeah, he definitely has bought himself a little bit of time where he can build on this now. But football, people have short memories. So, if you don't carry on this kind of momentum and these kind of good performances, over the last 2-3 weeks, then again, it could be repeating ourselves here, and of the kind of rhetoric of the last 3, the rhetoric of 3 weeks ago, it can come back again, but definitely has to build on that. I think there's a lot of, like I said before, there's a lot of positives to take from the game today for Rangers.
There's been a bit of talk post-match, Cammy. I think Philippe Clement himself was making quite a big deal of it in his post-match interviews. There was a moment where Liam Scales had a tug of Czerny's jersey, and I must admit at the time I felt it was just outside the box, and even in the replay I didn't really change my opinion. But since then I've seen a couple of stills and a lot of people suggesting that Czerny had a foot on the line when the tug was happening and Rangers should have had a penalty.
I don't know if you saw the images back, but my phone is overloaded with the penalty situation with Czerny. So I get hundreds of messages now about that. So that's also a really decisive moment in the game. Yes, of course he cannot see that moment, but he didn't get the communication from the VR to come to watch the screen. What's for me a really weird situation, that at least there's no look about that kind of situation in this kind of game, about the situation that the referee can make a decision in that way.
I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that, and are you surprised VAR didn't maybe get the referee to come and have a look at that?
Yeah, Yamal, to be honest, I seen the image as it came in, and then I've seen still since it looks like Czerny's foot is on the line. And again, what I would say is that he's holding the shirt, so the holding the shirt obviously it's not where the first incident actually happens. It's a continuous foul that's going on. So I think I was really surprised that VAR didn't look at that any longer, didn't intervene in that situation. It was a big moment in the game, and I understand why the manager is speaking about that after the game. It was a huge moment at that moment in time, but yeah, I was a little bit surprised there wasn't anything made more of that. I felt as if Czerny's foot was on the line for me, and it potentially could have been a penalty kick.
Do you think Celtic got away with one with that, Aiden?
I've not seen the still image, to be honest with you, because I was at the game actually, but
And too busy playing football with your kids when you came back.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so I've not seen it. I've just been, as soon as the game finished, and you see the team lifting the trophy. You're up the road, and I had 15 minutes of playing the kids. So I've not seen the image yet, so I can't really comment on that.
That's a very similar answer.
But at the time, I did think it was tight. I did think it was tight at the time, and also on that one as well. Thinking back to the Jack Butland, it's not as big a moment, but when Jack Butland caught the ball just at the edge of his area, that was one also that I thought could have been looked at, because I thought that was tight as well.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's difficult for me to comment on because I've not seen the image yet.
Very diplomatic, Aiden. We'll give you that. In terms of where it leaves Celtic then, Aiden, I mean, they just keep winning. They find different ways to win. Brendan Rodgers remains undefeated at Hampden as Celtic manager. It's his 10th trophy. Is it just a case of continuing the way that they have? I mean, as you say, that they maybe haven't been in their best form of late, and yet they're still churning out the trophies and the wins.
Yeah, look, it's what good teams do. It's what good managers do. They find a way to win.
We were poor in our ball possession, I feel. I don't think we were missing passes. Distances were too big in terms of connecting the game, and we obviously gave them an up with the goal. So it was just a case of reinforcing what we're good at. We brought Liam Scales into the game. Scales is really calm in possession. He's got experience of a final or finals before, so I thought he came in and was exceptional in the second half, both in his defending and giving us the ability to play through quickly. So it was a case of getting in front, and then we concede from the corner, get in front again, and obviously then concede late on. But you go into the extra time. It's really then all about who wants it the most. Your extra time, your penalties, and thankfully we showed that composure.
I don't think you'll meet any Celtic fan who'll be utterly convinced with the performance today. But at the end of the day, when you're the team, that's all you want to do is win the trophy. It's what you want to do. The players want to win trophies. The manager wants to win trophies. It's what you play football for. And the good teams and the good players, they find a way to win. Celtic were definitely not the best today. I think Brendan Rodgers would admit that. I think the players would admit that. I think Callum McGregor heard something on the radio talking about the performance as well, knowing that the team were not at their best. But it's the old cliche, isn't it? The good teams, they find a way to win. It doesn't matter how they play. At the end of the day, they were the ones lifting the trophy at the end of the day.
What about a word on a couple of the Celtic players who are, one club men, basically Callum McGregor, the captain, who I actually credited with an extra trophy to his name. 23 he's actually got rather than the 24 that I quoted at the time, but still not bad going, but usurped by James Forrest, who's now level with Bobby Lennox on 25, the club record holder. I mean, what more can you say about these two guys? They're just phenomenal, aren't they?
Yeah, look, if you spend your whole career in Celtic, Celtic or Rangers, in the last 10, 15 years, you're going to win trophies. It's the way Scottish football is. But to be there for so long and be so instrumental to the team in the way they've played the last... When did Forrest make his debut? 2010. He actually came on for me for his debut. 2010 it was. So, 14 years still going strong, still affecting games, still impacting games. Callum McGregor's obviously a massive player for Celtic. He's the heartbeat of that Celtic team. Look, I wish it was me, because if you grow up a Celtic fan, I'll actually say, I don't know if the two of them did grow up Celtic fans, but you grow up a young footballer, you want to be lifting trophies, and I mean, like you said there, that record is just, to be level with Bobby Lennox, one of the best players in Celtic's history, it speaks volumes.
Cammy, from a Rangers perspective then, do you think that they can continue this kind of upturn in their fortunes of late and sort of carry that forward for the rest of the season? I mean, Aiden was saying you can't yet say the league's done. It's as good as, isn't it? So how do they build on the kind of positivity that they have begun to gain in the last couple of weeks?
They just need to keep winning games, Al. I think that's the main thing for Rangers at this moment in time. They need to go and win domestic games. We know they've struggled with that this season. The European side of things have been fairly decent in the European run. They need to continue that as well to get over the line and continue all the positivity in Europe that they've had. But yeah, domestically, they need to just get back to winning games week in, week out. Again, with performances that are convincing as well, because I don't think for long times this season that Rangers, when they've been playing games, have not had a huge amount of control on games. Yes, when you play Celtic, you're not going to have a lot of control on the game, so take today away from it. They've not had a lot of games where they've completely controlled the game. They'll need to do that going forward, put the performances in, all the positivity at the top end of the pitch. The front four are really good for me. Again, they're working really well together with it. Hadji coming in there, obviously. Eagleman's a huge player at this moment in time. So keep these guys fit, keep the positivity around the club, and just keep moving forward and winning games of football. That's all Rangers can do. All they can do is hang on to hope that Celtic can drop some points at some point, and they can take advantage of that.
You're listening to the Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sport Scotland.
Okay, before we go, we should turn our attention to the other game that took place on Sunday afternoon. That was in the Premiership between Kilmarnock and Hearts, and Kelly producing a pretty remarkable 1-0 victory despite going down to 10 men after just 6 minutes. Another red card, this time for Robbie Dees. Aidan, before we touch on Kelly, I mean, that's another dismal result for Hearts, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, rooted to the bottom of the table just now. I thought last week they might have turned a corner, especially with, Shankland getting back to scoring a few goals, looking like his kind of old self. But yeah, it's a really poor result for Hearts. Great result for Kilmarnock, much needed. But you're just wondering when it is going to click into place for Hearts, because the season is we're eating into games now, and you think Hearts, and a few weeks ago you're saying Hearts and Hibs will be fine, but as the season goes on, they do need to start picking up points. Yeah, absolutely. Neil Critchley needs to find a way to get results. But Derek McInnes doing exactly that today, Cammy. I mean, despite that dreadful disciplinary record that his side have at the moment, but that does feel like a big result for your old team, doesn't it?
A massive result. As Aiden said, it's a big result for Kilmarnock. Much needed as well. Again, incredible. I think is that the 7th red card of the season.
7th, yeah.
Incredible amount of red cards I've had this season. And to see the game out with 10 men for so long, as you say, after 6 minutes, Robbie D sent off, just shows a real bit of character, especially when they're down towards the bottom of the league. They've been struggling for results this season. It was a big result today against, as Hazen says, a Hearts team that last week you're thinking has turned the corner. Shankland's back on form. They look a real force that will be going forward, and they've took a huge step back. I've seen the manager's comments saying he was really disappointed. He hadn't seen that performance coming since he's joined the club. So that'll be worrying for Hearts fans and for the manager going forward.
Yeah, could be a big January for Hearts. They've obviously got the new finance and the new analytics to lean on as well. But, well, it's been another remarkable weekend in Scottish football, another remarkable day, you would have to say, in terms of the League Cup final. But Celtic coming out victorious once again. That is all we've got time for. My thanks to Aiden McGeady and Cammy Bell, and thank you also for listening. Remember, we're here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early every day, so to make sure you don't miss out, subscribe on BBC Sounds and have push notifications turned on your phone. Thanks for listening. Cheers for now.
For everything you need to know about your team this season, download the BBC Sport app. All the latest news, goal updates, stats and scores, and insight and analysis. Just select your club to get the biggest stories and best content at your fingertips. What a result. Download the BBC Sport app for everything you need to know about your team this season.